Sir, what inspired you to start writing stories?
It gives you a lot of motivation as well as satisfaction.
Do you have a favorite genre to write in?
Well, I'm a journalist, so
Yeah.
I'm basically in the news business, so I write news.
Where do you get your ideas for characters and plot?
So while you observe people, you get the idea. Shivangi, tell me the story that you were talking about when you were in the hills.
It was very dark and we were climbing the hills and suddenly we went to the hill where we were not allowed. Hey viewers, you are welcome again in this podcast by Mother Divine Public School. आज हमारे साथ एक नए मेहमान हैं जिनका नाम है मिस्टर मनीष आनंद. ही इज़ अ सीनियर जर्नलिस्ट एंड हैज़ वर्कड इन Pioneer, Hindustan Times, Asian Age and many renowned media houses. Sir, are you ready to share your thoughts with us and our viewers?
Definitely, Shivangi. It's a pleasure that I'm here with you in this podcast, and we'll have a big conversation about all the topics that you're interested in.
Thank you, sir. Let's begin.
Sir, what inspired you to start writing stories?
Storytelling is a kind of a creative profession, and it gives you a lot of motivation as well as satisfaction because you're telling stories of the people.
Okay.
So every day you bring new stories that capture the things which are taking place around us in the society, as well as changes which are taking place in the society.
Yeah.
So that way, in our stories, we capture many things which may become historical records as well. In the future, people may refer to our stories to know, look, the things happened like this in this decade. So we are kind of documenting the history as well in our contemporary times.
Sir, it's very impressive. Do you have a favorite genre to write in?
Well, I'm a journalist, so
Yeah.
I'm basically in the news business, so I write news. So beyond news, beyond reporting on the current things, events, developments, I also have a lot of interest in fiction writing. So fiction writing is very creative. So in there, my interest is basically in fiction, capturing the political things.
Yeah.
The political developments taking place in our country, not only in our country, even abroad, like
Okay.
the US, Europe, other countries, because a lot of events are taking place in our surroundings, which have bearings, impact on us, and they will give a direction to your future as well. When you grow up, you may see that that these things happened when we were kids. Now they are impacting us when we are now young. So I have varied interests, very diverse interests in the news, in non-fiction, fiction as well, sometimes even poetry as well. So storytelling, we have to tell a story. A story could be anything. It could be a story of the current days, about the events taking place. At the same time, there could be social changes. So that also we capture through stories. That we get people and we humanize our stories. So we get people to tell those stories, which are unfolding and taking place in our times.
Sir, that's very impressive. Where do you get your ideas for characters and plots?
That you have to be in the field while you are meeting people, while you are covering events. You go to new places,
Yeah.
then you observe. So observation is very key, right? So while you observe people, you get the idea. Okay, this can be a character which can be developed into a plot.
Yeah.
So if you're writing a non-fiction, then obviously a plot is very important, right? So before going deeper into that, why don't you, Shivangi, tell me the story that you were talking about when you were in the hills, caught one evening with your sister?
Yeah, so it was it was very dark and we were climbing the hills and suddenly we went to the hill where we were not allowed because it was across the forest and it was a very thrilling experience for us, and after that we were very scolded from our parents.
So that was a kind of you built a horror story.
Yeah, horror story
Isn't
or
it?
thriller story.
So while you were telling that story in the written form,
Yeah.
so you may have captured the scene. The
Yeah.
scene that you may have seen that
Yeah.
evening in the hills. What was the scene like?
Like,
You heard voices, noise.
yeah, like when I visualize, it was a dark area. We are climbing the hills, and there are certain noises coming to us. Like it was like that creepy and the
Oh,
scary
yes.
look. Like that was a visualizing that when I was writing. So
So what did Shivangi say? She visualized,
Yeah.
isn't it? So while we write, for instance, we are writing a future thing.
Yeah.
You may have witnessed an event taking place in your presence. When you come back or you come to the school or you to the home, you imagine back that scene. So you visualize, right? The way you do paintings.
Yeah.
So when you are drawing a caricature, you're drawing a cartoon, you visualize. So we try to reproduce the scene that we may have seen or we may have been a witness to. So scene writing is very important in creative writing.
yeah,
Okay, the kind of atmosphere that you saw in the hills, it was dark, noise coming,
Yeah.
leaves making noise, some kind of creepy
Yeah.
voices, lot of things, cool air,
Yeah.
breeze. So you have to bring in all the elements. So you have to visualize, you have to reproduce.
Yeah.
So that should give us a sense. For instance, you have been to the hills, you were witness to that dark night
Yeah.
horror story, as you said. But I have never been to, suppose I have never been to the hills.
Yeah.
So I should get a feel.
Yeah.
Okay, hills is like this. So if you're in the hills,
Yeah.
this is what you would get to see. So while you are writing, you need to reproduce the same emotion, feelings, scenes as you had seen.
yes,
So that is our challenge. So when we plot, as you said, so we try to build characters and we also reproduce scenes as they had been, right?
sir. It's very amazing. How do you overcome a writer's block when you don't know what to write?
Okay, so that's a usual thing,
Yeah.
writer block. People, sometimes they get tired.
Yeah,
Okay, I don't want to write anything more. And most importantly, as you said, writer block, the first step of any journey is the most important.
Yeah.
So suppose you have decided to run half marathon. So
Yeah.
first 5 minutes would be very challenging. You will be feeling very tiring.
yeah,
But once you have done it, you'll get the energy going and you'll be pushed along.
Yeah.
You will finish the job. So in the same way, if you begin your story, you get the intro right, you get the first 2-3 sentences right,
Yeah.
then it becomes very easy. Then the job is half done. So you have to get the first beginning right. So that you have to decide how do you begin.
Yeah.
So your beginning has to be right, and that is what many writers face.
yeah.
You may have seen film. I don't know whether you have seen the film Shakespeare in Love or not, but you cannot watch that film right now because you're kids. So
Yeah.
once you grow up, you can watch.
Yeah.
So Shakespeare also used to, write his first 3-4 sentences, and then he would wrap up the pages and throw them in the bin basket because he wasn't getting the things correct.
Yeah.
So that is the most challenging thing. How to begin? First 2 sentences. That you have to be very correct. So to get to deal with this, there are methods.
Yeah.
So when you become a professional writer, you will get to know that there are ways you begin. How to write introduction. So there are different ways. Like in news writing, we have different ways.
Yeah.
How to write first 2 sentences. If you're writing a feature, then there are different ways. If you're writing a novel,
Yeah.
then there are different ways. For instance, you're writing a story, a horror story
Yeah.
of the hills that you
Okay.
witnessed. Then what would you do? How would you begin? You have to bring suspense, isn't it? You have to make the reader curious. You should get the reader interested to
That-
read your story.
Yeah.
So what would you do? You will just bring the scene. If you're able to bring the scene appropriately so that the readers also get transported
Yeah.
to the same place while reading those 2 sentences, then he will get hooked too.
Yeah.
He will read your whole story.
Yeah.
So similarly, there are different kinds of writing. For example, in newspaper, I don't know whether you read newspaper or not, there are opinion pieces. So people write on issues.
Yeah.
Okay, so the starting, the introduction of the article would be different than the news, than
Yeah.
the feature. So there are a variety of writings. So you have to decide which writing you want to do, and accordingly, there are methods to begin your introduction. So that you can get by practice.
Yeah.
And not only practice, you have to read. To become a good writer, you have to be a very good reader
Reader.
as well.
Yes.
So you have to read a lot of books, a lot of things. So be a good reader, you'll become a good writer.
Okay.
So that's very impressive. What's the most interesting story you've written so far? Can you share a little about it?
Lot of stories we have written in the last 2.5 decades.
Yeah.
They have been published in the newspapers and magazines. So, but I will tell you not a story that I have written, but one of my friends wrote, because that story is very inspiring, and that I always talk about while I talk to younger people. The story was about, he was working in the Hindustan Times, and it was almost 30 years back. So he used to come in a bus to his office, and from office he used to walk through the basement, and after crossing the basement he used to go to his office. So if you have ever been to the subways in the Connaught Place,
Yeah.
you will see that the subways is full of beggars, hawkers, like those people. So because he was going on a daily basis, he was observing all these people on a regular basis.
Yeah.
One day he became aware that one beggar is not seen
Okay.
at his usual place.
Okay.
Right? So days went by, it became almost 10 days. He was not sighted.
Oh.
After 11 or 12 days, he saw that very beggar who was sitting in the subway was sitting outside the subway on the roadside.
Okay.
So he became very curious. First observation, the observation gave him that somebody is missing
Missing.
from the scene. And then he saw that person outside after a gap of time. Then he became curious. Out of curiosity, he went to that person and said, Baba, why are you sitting here? You have all been sitting in the subway.
Yeah.
Then that beggar says, oh, I got my daughter married. And in dowry, I have given that place to my son-in-law.
Oh.
So that place in the subway was given in dowry to a new beggar who was his son-in-law.
Son-in-law.
So this story was very big social things. Dowry is a menace.
Yeah.
It's a big problem, and that is prevalent across all the sections of the people. So this story was amazing story.
Yeah.
It appeared in one full page in the Hindustan Times, and as a lesson to any new writer, it gives you two messages: observation. You have to observe the things around you, and be curious in life. If something is striking
Yeah.
your mind, don't hesitate and go and inquire about that.
Okay.
So that will give you the story.
Okay.
So the story is there all around us. You have to find the story. For that, you need two things: observation and curiosity.
Yes, sir. Sir, it's very amazing. Being a writer, do you prefer by typing on a computer or writing by hand?
Nowadays, I don't think that anybody is writing by hand in our profession,
Yeah.
at least. But yes, when we are in the field, we carry our notepad and pen with us,
Yeah.
ball pen with us, and we note down the
Okay.
things that we see and talk. Because whatever we note down in our notepad, that becomes the basis by which we write our stories on
Yeah.
the computer or the laptop. So we record, because we have to be factually correct. So we have to have accuracy in our writing. So for that purpose, we do take notes. So for that purpose, we do handwriting. Otherwise, the stories are written mostly on laptop or computers nowadays,
Yeah.
which I think when you grow up, you will also be doing.
Okay, sir.
So, what inspired you to start? Who are your favorite authors that inspired your writing?
There are many, in fact. In my profession, I was given job in the Asian Age by M.J. Akbar. So in our profession, he was a very great journalist. And besides being a journalist, good journalist, he was a great writer also. He's still around us. So he's a great writer. And he has written many books. A lot of books, non-fiction books, he has written. So I was always inspired by his writing. Very simple writing, short sentences. He will never use hard words that you need to, refer to a dictionary to find the meanings. So a kind of a writing that anybody who is studying in class 8 will understand. So very simple writing, yet very clarity in message. So he somehow inspired me. But beyond that, I have many people I have read, like Gabriel Garcia Marquez, a great novelist, and by the way, he was a journalist also. So just to give you one thing, that journalists make good writers because it becomes a habit for us to write,
Yeah.
because we are doing on a daily basis.
Yeah.
So when they become very older in the profession, they happen to write books. So many of the journalists have become writers, and they have written and published many books. So Gabriel Garcia Marquez was one. Shakespeare you must have read.
Yeah.
Again, he is a great, ever inspiring person. Within India, R.K. Narayan was
Yeah.
a great writer, and simple writing, very simple writing, and full of humor. Humor is very important.
Yeah.
When you grow up, you will understand the meaning of humor, and what is the significance of humor in life as well as in writing. So humor means that you can you can laugh at things. That's a very challenging thing. People don't laugh so often. People are serious most of the times. But if a writer brings humor in writing, then it becomes great.
Yeah.
So R.K. Narayan was great in his humorous writing. Malgudi Days, you may have
Yeah.
seen that television serial. But he has written many books.
Yeah.
Mahatma Gandhi in Waiting, Mahatma in Waiting, Under the Banyan Tree, a lot of books. I think you people can also read R.K. Narayan. To begin with, at your age, R.K. Narayan is a good writer to go with.
Sir, it's very impressive. What advice would you give to other kids who want to start creative writing?
They should read first.
Yeah.
Before starting to write, you should read. What can you read? You can read from your interest. Whatever is your interest. It can be fiction, it can be non-fiction, it can be science, it can be adventure, it can be anything. But read. In place of, I say, wasting your time on mobile phones, playing games and all that, it would be better if you can pick up a few books and you can read them.
Yeah.
Reading will make you a very good writer, as I have said earlier. Just to give one example to you that, okay, by the way, you have spoken only in English so far, so I'm giving you this example to make a certain message here. When I was in my bachelor's, when I was in BSc first year, I grew up in Bihar, and I had always been to Hindi medium school. So I was not good at English. In fact, I was not even aware about the meaning of yesterday and tomorrow. It so happened that my elder brother was in Delhi. I wrote a letter to him, and that I wrote in English, even while not being, so familiar with the language. So it so happened that one of my uncles came with my father in the evening, and I was a shy person. I went inside the house, and he grabbed the letter and he read. And then he called me and said, "You don't know even the meaning of yesterday and tomorrow. My daughter is in class 4. You come and she will, tell you the meanings." So I felt very humiliated with this incident. So what I did, that the next day when I came back to my hometown, in place of going to my house, I directly went to the biggest bookstore in my town and told the shopkeeper that you give me your best dictionary. Then he gave me Collins Corbett. That was a very bulky kind of a dictionary. Then I said, how would I, go through this dictionary? He said, okay, you take this dictionary and you go and get an English newspaper. The Hindu comes here a day after, and you read the newspaper, and whatever you don't know the words, you refer to that in the dictionary. So that became a habit, and within 3 months, I picked up the language. So this is the way I picked up the language. So I think that gives you the answer that you can pick up any language. You have to have the motivation and the proper way to go for it.
That's impressive, sir. What advice would you give to other kids who want to start creative writing and also become a journalist?
Yes, that's very interesting. You have to get the motivation right. Don't decide right now what you want to become when you grow up. Let the natural course of action guide you. So when you grow up, you will be exposed to many things. So don't decide right now what you want to become in life. Let your interests guide you. It may happen that after 3 or 4 years you would want to become something else than what you have decided right now. So don't impose on you anything, but keep your minds open and try to expose yourself to many things like writing, reading, watching also that you can do, and it's not a big deal to become a journalist. It's not a big deal. Even if you're an engineer, there are many engineers who, after doing BTech, they have become journalists. There are many doctors, after doing MBPS, they have come to the journalism profession and they have become journalists. So there were many bureaucrats, IAS, they quit IAS and became journalists. So nobody is going to stop you from becoming a journalist. Keep yourself open. Whatever you are doing, do in the best possible manner and excel in that. So, and leave the things to in future to guide your course of action. What would you become in future?
Sir, it's very amazing. Sir, if you could write a book and have it published tomorrow, what would be it about?
Yes, because politics is my first interest, because I have been a journalist and a political journalist. So I would like to write about politics, a non-fiction political book, and I would like to capture the last 10 years of India, the political India. So in those last 10 years, I would like to chronicle the things which happened. जो भी चीज़ें हुई हमारे 10 साल में, उनको हम कैप्चर करने की कोशिश करेंगे उस बुक में. एंड जब भी हम कोई स्टोरी लिखते हैं, एक दो अप्रोच होता है. एक आर्टिकल लिखते हो आप, आर्टिकल और फीचर. एक होता है फीचर, एक होता है आर्टिकल. आर्टिकल होता है इश्यूज के ऊपर, मुद्दे के ऊपर होता है, और फीचर होता है लोगों के बारे में. मेरा अपना सोचना है कि जो लोगों के द्वारा बताई गई कहानियाँ होती हैं वो ज़्यादा अच्छी होती हैं पढ़ने में, है ना. सो माई अप्रोच विल बी टू ह्यूमनाइज द स्टोरी, bring the people in the story and let the people tell the story, and you become a medium.
Okay.
So as a writer, I should be a medium to tell the stories of the people, how the people's lives have been impacted in the last 10 years or 15 years, what changes they have gone through. So those are the things that I would like to chronicle and document through their tales. In place of me writing, I would like to like the people to tell the stories.
Sir, how does writing make you feel? What do you enjoy most about it?
Writing gives a lot of satisfaction. It gives because as a person you are exposed to so many things. They are all inside you, and writing is an expression. You have to express. For instance, you may be angry about something. Something may have happened to you in your life, and you may be angry about that. If you don't express that, they will accumulate and they will become, they'll get pent up. वो अंदर भरता जाएगा, and one day it will, just explode.
Yeah.
So in place of letting that explode, why don't express that? So this is the creative way to express that we write. For instance, we may be very unhappy about pollution in Delhi.
Yeah.
So we'll be angry about why we are having so much of pollution every year for 5-6 months. Kids are not able to go to the school. They are homebound, forced to go for online education because the schools are shut. So we feel angry. So we will write about it. We'll try to investigate what are the causes. And when we write, so we have an audience. Audience can be you. At the same time, our audience can be the policy makers, the people who make decisions, the people who can really do something about pollution in Delhi. They can really take some action. So our writing should influence their decisions. Okay, you do these things so that the pollution in Delhi is tackled in the appropriate and time-bound manner, right? So this is the big motivation. If we write something and it is of public interest and some action is taken on that basis, then it gives a lot of happiness and satisfaction.
Thank you, sir, for sharing your valuable thoughts and inspiring our fellow students.
It's a joy talking to you kids, and I hope that both of you will and your friends will take up creative writing as their hobbies.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
So that's it for today's podcast. अगले हफ्ते मिलते हैं एक और नए मेहमान के साथ. तब तक के लिए
Take care and goodbye.
Goodbye.